This is the Recycling, Scrap Metal, Commodities, and Economic Report, July 14th, 2025. U.S. weekly raw steel production rose to 1.781 million tons, up 4.9% from last year and up 0.5% year to date. This is on tariff protection and the slow U.S. economy. WTI crude oil price rose to $68.75 a barrel, despite increased production and a lower oil demand forecast. U.S. weekly crude oil production rose to 13.468 million barrels per day, remaining near December's record. U.S. producers are staying at a high level on good demand. The U.S. weekly crude oil rig count fell to 424, near a 4-year low. This was on great productivity per well, as drillers are working to maximize profitability, so they're reducing rigs. Scrap steel number 1 HMS composite price was steady at $311.67 a gross ton, on a balance of supply and demand. Hot rolled coil steel price fell to $43.85 a hundredweight, which is $8.77 a ton, on slowing U.S. demand, but high tariffs. Copper weekly price soared to $5.58 a pound on the new 50% copper tariff. The U.S. imports about half the copper that we use. Aluminum weekly price rose slightly to $1.18 a pound, which is $26.04 a metric ton, on lower supply but lower demand. U.S. June NFIB Small Business Optimism Index fell to 98.6, with taxes being the number one issue. It jumped after the 2024 election, but fell with tariff uncertainties. There are now concerns over excess inventory and labor costs and quality. U.S. weekly continuous jobless claims rose to 1.955 million, the highest in almost 4 years. The slowing U.S. economy is leaving people unemployed longer. This slowing could help bring interest rate cuts sooner rather than later. U.S. June government budget net flows. There was a surplus of $27 billion on the sharp rise in tariff income that could annualize to $300 billion per year. Year to date, though, the U.S. budget deficit is $1.34 trillion. Yes, trillion, on increased Social Security, defense, and interest on the debt. The $300 billion of tariffs is helping offset the about $2 trillion per year, yes, $2 trillion per year of the U.S. federal budget deficit. U.S. consumer inflation expectations for the year ahead fell to 3%, but is still above the 2% target. Good news, though. This could help bring lower interest rates, as discussed. U.S. June new orders for U.S. manufactured goods surged by 8.2% from May, the sharpest jump in 10 years. Non-defense aircraft and parts made up most of the increase. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 431 points to 44,398. Markets hit new highs during the week, but new tariffs were announced. Tariffs are creating market uncertainty and slowing U.S. and global growth. This is Greg Brown. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions. I hope all have a safe and profitable week.